Hey guys, this is Steve here with Slurv, bringing you another edition of Cash Game Cornerstones for MLB for Tuesday, April 26th. And the first thing we got to address here is a big question. Clayton Kershaw is pitching, and we also have a game in Coors Field. So, going to be hard to fit in a lot of Coors bats and Kershaw. Personally, I'm all about Kershaw tonight. 13.8 on DraftKings. He's really expensive. You really got to do a little bit of work to get him into your lineups, but I think he's worth it. Lots of other aces out there tonight. The only other really high price guy that's got my attention is Max Scherzer versus the Phillies. It's definitely a good matchup. Scherzer did not look great in his last outing. That's recency bias, not necessarily something to consider, but I personally am going more for the Kershaw. Aside from that, there's really one other guy I like, and that's Kyle Hendricks, and I like him a lot. He's a huge favorite to win, much cheaper than the top end guys. The Brewers just love striking out right now, about a 30% strikeout rate. So I think he is a solid guy. I'm going to try and lock him and Kershaw into my cash lineups, unless I fall prey to the cheap price of Bartolo Colon. I know it hurts me a little bit to say it, but 6,400 on DraftKings, you can't beat it. It'll be the way to get some good bats in, but he's still Bartolo Colon, and that's never fun. I don't know. Those are the only names that I have down on my list today. There's lots of other guys out there, probably good reasons to like them, but I'm not feeling them. It's Kershaw or bust for me, I think. But that means we have to do a little work with the bats, so let's get on to that. Yesterday was a great first day of the videos for me. Had some really strong calls on there, particularly Michael Conforto put up 28 points, was only 3,100. Also, the BVP specials really came through. Posey and Pence both hit a home run. Was pretty pleased to see that happen at the end of the night. Nice little home run call. Plus the pitching also did well. Taijuan Walker was the second guy that I mentioned below the top tier, and he absolutely destroyed. Wish I'd played him in cash, but I didn't. But I did have him in GPP, so got a little bit of fun in there. So for today's batters, let's see what we got. I mean, we got the Coors Field game. That's always something. Starting with catcher. Man, I hate catcher. Such a tough position to fill. But today, some of the options that I'm looking at, we got McCann. It's playing in Texas there. The weather is great. I think the effect of hot weather on hitters is underestimated in general. So I think that's an area that we can get a little bit of an edge on people by using that. So I think McCann is a really strong play there. Let's see. Also, there's Stephen Vogt. He's got Mike Pelfrey. That's always something that you like. I like to see. He's only 3.4. Depending on who gets the start in Coors, that could be a real thing. If my boy Tony Walters is getting the start at 2.4K, he's a lock in my lineups. If it's Nick Hundley at 3.3, I got to think about it some more. I'm not such a big fan of Hundley's. That's really about it as far as what I'm looking at catcher. Today, with all the aces on the mound, there's not a whole lot of bats that I feel too safe about. So that's where I am with catcher. First base is usually a packed position, and there's still a bit tonight, but like the rest of them, there's relatively less guys that I'm interested in there. Again, if he gets the start, Ben Paulson, 3.2. Love him in Coors Field. I personally like getting the cheap Coors Field exposure. I love Arenado and Gonzalez and all that too, but sometimes they can be really expensive. And being in Coors Field is such a boon for anyone that it makes up for their deficiencies as baseball players a little bit. So he's there. I also love Mark Teixeira, sticking with that Yankees in Texas theme. That sounds like a Civil War movie, Yankees in Texas. So we got the good weather there. He's only 4,200 on DraftKings. That's a good one. This one's a little bit more of a long shot. I don't know how much I love him in cash games, but Byung-Ho Park has been hitting hot lately. He's had quite a few home runs. And he gets Cody Anderson, who gives up quite a few home runs. Just in general, the Minnesota bats could benefit from that. Anderson is at about 1.25 home runs for 9 innings. His pitch speed is down versus last year. Fly ball percentage is up. Hard hit percentage is up. The exit velocity of batters hitting the ball is up. I like him there. Mark Canha is a little bit more of a risky play. I was on him in cash the other day, and he totally let me down with a goose egg, but he'd been hitting hot before that, and he gets the aforementioned Mike Pelfrey to throw him the ball, so that's always a good one. Again, more Coors Field stuff. Sean Rodriguez and Jason Rogers are potentially interesting, cheap kind of punt plays if they get the start. I just don't know who's actually going to be in the starting lineup there. Also more risk just inherently. And then last but definitely not least, Jose Abreu at 4K is he's a steal. This is a little bit of a batter versus pitcher special, so if you really don't strongly are against that, maybe you don't want to play him. But Abreu is 4 for 9 with 3 home runs off Dickey. He's another great pitcher to target tonight. So I think there's a lot of potential there. Man, it's going to be a tough one deciding between him and Teixeira and probably Paulson. Although Paulson you can stick in the outfield too, so that's a potential. We'll look into that when we get to talk about the other outfielders. And that's kind of first base for me tonight. Obviously, Anthony Rizzo is in play. I guess Mark Reynolds is in play if he gets the start. I'm not a fan of Mark Reynolds. I am a huge fan of Anthony Rizzo, though. So if you just happen to have lots of cash left over somehow, if you're not playing Kershaw, I guess, then give him a look. Second base is not a particularly fun position today. DJ LeMahieu, if he's leading off, he's 3.7, 3,700 on DK. I think he is a really strong play to get some exposure there. I also really like Chris Coughlin. Just getting back on that Mike Pelfrey theme. He's only 3.3. If he gets the start, Tommy La Stella in Chicago, that's a potentially really good play, especially if he's hitting at the top of the order. I think he batted leadoff or second the other day, and he totally killed it. So that's another good one. And then Odor, we got Odor, more of that Texas game, getting in on that weather. Especially like him if he's batting at the top of the order. If he's back at the bottom like he has been, I'm a little less happy about it. And then Chase Utley, 3,400. Good price. Guy gets on base a lot. Tom Kohler is not scary. He has, Utley has a pretty decent record versus him. So I think that's probably a good one too. And that's kind of it for second base. Nobody I really love, which is kind of why I'm inclined to either default to Coors Field with LeMahieu or kind of punt it a little bit with Coughlin or La Stella. All right, third base. Clear top option, I guess, Nolan Arenado, 5,100 on DK. Kind of, he's obviously on the expensive end. He's obviously worth it. He's a great hitter. If you can get him into your lineups, that's great. Slightly cheaper option that I also really like, Matt Carpenter. He's been hitting hot, hit a home run last night, got a good matchup kind of BVP-wise, and, just a general good situation. Mike Moustakas at 4,100. I think is really interesting. His advanced stats on batted ball distance and velocity and hard hit percentage, those kind of things are all up recently. I've been playing him for the last week or so here and there because I'm pretty sure some big hits are coming. Pretty sure there's a home run in the works there. Just trying to catch it on the right day. Could be today. Stepping down just a little further, another guy I really like at third base, Todd Frazier. That whole White Sox team is pretty interesting. They've all got good records against the pitcher who I just totally spaced on. All right, so third base, the clear-cut top option there, Nolan Arenado, no surprise, but he is 5,100, hard to fit in maybe, maybe not if you go with Bartolo, if you got balls of steel, but he's just a great hitter. He's worth the money if you can do it. I really like Matt Carpenter, a little cheaper, 4,500. He's hitting hot, hit a home run last night, in a good spot today. Little further down the line, I like Mike Moustakas. His advanced stats on stuff like hard hit percentage, batted ball distance, exit velocity from the bat are all up. I've been expecting a home run from him for like a week now. So I hate to use the phrase "he's due" because that's some sportscaster mumbo jumbo, but the numbers actually indicate that he is likely to hit a home run, and he hasn't yet, so random chance part of it is likely to come around soon. I'm trying to be on that train when it happens. I'm not sure about the spot today, but 4,100, not too bad. A little bit further down from him, I like Todd Frazier too. That whole White Sox team against R.A. Dickey in Toronto, very, very friendly stadium. He's 3,900. I think he's an excellent, very safe play for a very reasonable price. This guy is second base eligible too. Brandon Drury, he's another guy that came through for me last night. Posted about 10 points or so. I mean, nothing spectacular, but he was 2,500, and today he's down even further at 2,100. I mean, they're practically giving away this guy that's batting in the two-hole for a explosive offense in Arizona. I mean, yeah, granted, he's not the greatest player ever, but he's eligible at two positions, second and third, 2,100, been batting second in the order, been getting on base. I like Brandon Drury. We need to save some money somewhere in order to get Kershaw and bats that we like in there. So Brandon Drury, remember it. Shortstop is really pretty barren. Not a whole lot that I like there. Jordy Mercer, especially if he gets back on top of the order, a little more than I'd like to pay for him at 4,000. But Coors Field. If you're looking for some exposure, you can get it there. Trevor Story is also down $500. Important to remember the Rockies are facing Jarrett Cole. He's not the best ace ever, but he's not a bad pitcher either. So there is some reason to be concerned about the Rockies' bats there. Just a random aside, I actually really like Jarrett Cole in a GPP. If Coors goes tonight the way it did last night, just probably unlikely, but you're planning for unlikely scenarios in GPPs, and if it goes that way, he could be a really solid play, save some money. I think he's like 8,700, somewhere in there. Cheap for him, but it is Coors Field. The thing to remember about Coors right now, it's really cold in Colorado. I just looked it up, and the game temperature is projected to be 45 degrees. That's not good for hitting. Over 70 degrees is really way preferable for hitting all the way down there. The wind is blowing in to the stadium, not particularly strong, but I don't know. I'm hesitant to say fade Coors tonight because, Well, one is Coors, and two, I think a lot of people are going to be fading it based on the recency bias and the tilt from last night. I know I was tilted going, come on guys, what are you doing? but I think we need to get over that and remember that Coors is still largely beneficial to hitters, and we want some exposure there. So Trevor Story, 4,700, a little bit of a step up from Mercer. Man, I talked about Mercer for a long time, and Coors Field, I guess. And then I really like Corey Seager at 4,100. That Dodgers team is great. Corey Seager's great. I already mentioned Tom Kohler, not a huge threat. Park's not ideal, but, you know, it's a good one. And then really, those are the only three names I wrote down for shortstop. Like I said, not too many guys I feel comfortable in today. And shortstop is one of the most barren positions, in my opinion. All right, and outfield. So again, we're depending on some starting lineups here that we need to get in. Brandon Barnes, if he somehow cracks the starting lineup again at 2.5, is pretty interesting. Carlos Gonzalez, I kind of mentioned him a little bit earlier. You know, hard to go wrong if you can fit the 5K in, but he's pretty expensive. Matt Joyce, if you played Matt Joyce last night, you were rejoicing. At least I was. He did awesome. Hit a home run, 2,100. Hopefully they'll keep him in the starting lineup with the way he's been hitting. He's still 2,100. That's just ridiculous. If he's starting, I'm playing him. No two ways about it. Nomar Mazara is another guy I played yesterday. Yeah, you know, did okay. He's only 3,500. More of that game in Texas. Loving that weather. Really kind of want to target that weather today. It's a couple of other guys. Oh, Rahai Davis is only 3,600. Yeah, he doesn't grade out particularly well in my model today, but not really badly either. And he's been doing a lot of stuff, been putting a lot of stuff together. He's hit a couple home runs. He's stolen quite a few bases. So, you know, if he does any of those things, he could well pay off his salary. And then let's see who's last. Oh yeah, Carlos Beltran. Again, man, that Yankees-Texas game, I've got a lot of interest in. Beltran has been hot, and I think he keeps it up today. He's 3.7, so another kind of cheaper, great play. Okay, so to close out, we'll go with some BVP specials. These are guys that you might not otherwise play, but they have really good records against the pitcher in question, so kind of worth a look in my opinion. We'll start with Seattle because they have a matchup with Dallas I cannot say his name. Keuchel? I don't know. Hopefully this is funny. But they have kind of killed him. Seth Smith and Nelson Cruz in particular have really good histories against him. Seth Smith is only 2,200. If he's starting at the top of the lineup like he normally is, that's going to be really tempting to me, even in cash. I don't know. I like it, but it makes me a little nervous, so I probably shouldn't play it in cash. And then John Jay, surprisingly, versus Cueto. He also has a great record there. If you can stomach playing John Jay, he's only 2,400. And then Yan Gomez is 3,400. Has just killed Ricky Nolasco. So those are the guys that I might target based on BVP. Worked out pretty well yesterday with the Posey and Pence and some of the other ones, but maybe a little bit riskier than some of the other plays I've mentioned. So this has been another edition of Cash Game Cornerstones for MLB. I am Steve Repsold with Slurv. Come hang out in the Slurv chat room. Get the updates throughout the day as the news comes out about who's starting and who's not. I can answer any questions about what numbers and data I'm using to make these recommendations. Come on by and say hello and just hang out, or tilt about Coors last night or Coors tonight or whatever else happens.